Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe it and please press the bell icon so that you get all the notifications regarding new videos when I post it. Today's video is a small video regarding pivoting feature within SQL Server. There are many situations where we have data in a certain format within the SQL Server or any database, and we want to kind of transform those rows into columns, like a very opposite. So that's what the pivoting feature would come into place. It's a kind of a function within SQL Server, and we are going to explore the same function within this video. Now, if we try to understand what exactly is pivoting, pivoting is a feature by which we can transform rows into columns easily. We can even use inbuilt functions like count, sum, etc. within the pivoting. This is kind of an example which would describe how pivoting would work. Let's say we have a table called as some sales collection figures for the cloud providers. We have different rows for the cloud providers with the year and the collections out there. Now, if you want to pivot the data, because this has multiple duplicate rows also, duplicate means like for 2015 or 2016, you have multiple rows for Azure or AWS with some sales figures. So somebody is entering data like that. But in order to make pivot work, we could use the pivoting feature and convert it into something very much more readable and more flexible concept, as we could display the years in one column, and then we could have the individual cloud providers like Azure and AWS, and we could even use the sum of all the earnings for the 2015 or 2016 for individual Azure or AWS. So that's what we are going to use. I'll be posting the actual queries as well as the data, how to create it. I'm going to use a temporary table within SQL Server to demonstrate this. So stay tuned, and we'll actually demonstrate how to use this pivot function to display data in a much more readable or converting your rows into column format. So welcome back. We are going to now actually create some table and then do that pivoting feature and see it for yourself how exactly it works. This particular script, I'm gonna actually post it within the description video of this video, so that you could use the script in case you want to try out, or you want to try out on some another table or anything. So this is a very kind of a temporary table we are going to create and populate some sample records into that. So I'm just gonna run this script, and if I run this, yes, the script has run. And if I just want to see whether the table has been created, so we could just use cloud sales. And if I just use run, okay, so this is all the data that's already there with 3 columns. One is cloud provider here and collection. Now, as we want to display some data or convert the rows into columns, so we could use the first one, where the first method where we are going to convert, as I demonstrated within the PPT, that's we are going to have year and then Azure or AWS. That's what you could do. Or we could also do the cloud provider, like the other concept also, which I'll demonstrate within the same video. Okay, so let's give it a try and see for the first one. So if I say select star from, and then you need to provide the table name cloud sales, and I use a pivot function, and then what you want to do is I want to sum the collection, which is the column in there, and then within the pivot function, so I'll say for cloud provider. Now cloud provider is one column which we are saying, and then we can specify the values out there. So there are technically 2 values, AWS, Azure, and that's what we are going to specify over here, and then we say as pivot table. Now if we try to run this query, so if you see, okay, so you could see we are trying this by doing this cloud provider in the form of AWS Azure. So it means you are converting those rows for AWS and Azure into 2 columns, that is AWS and Azure. Those rows are actually converted into columns, and then we are actually displaying the sum of the collection, means the total amount or the total collection for an individual year, which was 2015 and 2016. So that's how it was. Now if I want to little bit change that, so I could do that. So let's start from, let's say, cloud sales, and then I'll say pivot. So you want to do a sum of collections. I just want to keep it as same, and then after the collection, but now I'm not gonna say cloud provider, rather for year, because I want to take the year and convert it into columns. Now year in, and when it is like numbers, you have to represent in, let's say, these square brackets, otherwise SQL Server will not accept the syntax. So because I have 2 years, so I'm just gonna present it that way as pivot table. Now if we try to run this, so you get the same thing, but then the year is now pivoted. The year-wise records were pivoted. The year actually becomes 2 columns, 2015 and 2016, and then the AWS and Azure, they remains the same. So now if I just want to run these 2 queries in totality, so you could see I could actually pivot based upon multiple columns or multiple rows, and then use whether you want to put year values into as new columns, or you want to put the cloud provider as the new columns. That's what purely depends upon your use case. So yeah, pivoting is a great feature to convert your rows into columns. Every time when you work with a database, the data is not going to be in the format what you really need. So pivoting helps us out as a developer, as a data analyst, to actually pivot the data and present it in different ways. I hope guys, this video is going to help you out with the pivoting understanding, and you could now transform your data into rows, into columns. In the next video, I'll explain the reverse of this, that is unpivoting. Okay, so unpivoting is the reverse feature, but we'll talk in the next video. So thank you guys for joining. I hope you kind of are going to find this video helpful, and I'll be coming up with the next video soon. Thank you.